This is Today's Business Leaders. Actionable advice from real-world professionals. And now here's your host, Gabe Arnold.
All right, on today's show, I have Teddy Burriss. He is a LinkedIn expert. He provides a bunch of training there, also a bunch of sales training from what I've seen, which is really valuable. And there's something really cool about Teddy's story that I'm going to point out to everybody later that he mentioned to me, and he may not know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, welcome to the show, Teddy.
Thanks, Gabe. Appreciate the opportunity to get in here and listen to what you think about me.
Right.
Or what you think you heard about me. Yeah.
That's right. Real-time feedback. We'll see how it goes. We always start out this way, obviously. When did you first realize that you were an entrepreneur, Teddy?
So Gabe, I struggle with that word because I don't really use that about me, but I play the role.
Right.
I know I'm playing the role. I'll tell you when it happened for me. It happened for me in November of about 2005, when I decided that I needed to start my own business, become an entrepreneur. And I didn't really know what that was, but I knew in order to become an entrepreneur, I had to figure out how to sell. And I hate selling. With a passion, I hate selling. And I still say today, I don't sell.
Yeah.
But that was it. It was in November of 2005 when I decided to quit my corporate job. And the story is turning the keys to the Land Rover, turning the keys to the hangar where the Learjet was, turning the American Express card that I can use for anything, anywhere, anytime. And then go find my own credit cards and my own car and my own travel, and learn how to sell. That was when it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's got to be an interesting way to get there, because I mean, there's plenty of people that I've had on the show, and my own experience is, pull myself up from my bootstraps from a teenager, build up a business, learn it that way. Whereas it sounds like you were really stepping away from a huge amount of success. And then starting your business. So that's like honestly, that's the reverse of a lot of the stories you hear. So that had to be a very different experience.
Well, I went from a comfortable lifestyle, let's use that word,
right,
to zero income for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And then 6 months in, I got some income, but it wasn't doing what I really wanted to do. I mean, I enjoyed doing it.
Right.
But, sometimes I refer to it as a gap income, gap between what I'm doing now and what I want to be doing.
Right.
But I was able to pay the mortgage. So yeah.
That's good. And so you talk about how you don't like sales, yet you have gone through the Sandler sales, system, which is probably one of the biggest or the oldest and biggest that I've known and respected at some level. Not that I've been through it all, but I'm aware of it. And obviously you're selling because you made it past the 6 month mark, and you do actually make a living at this now.
Yeah.
So what was the shift for you from I hate sales to I can serve and help people and make money? Like you've obviously reconciled that because somebody's paying you something. So
yeah. And by the way, I've been married for 42 years to the same woman, and she wouldn't let me sleep in the bed if I wasn't paying the bills.
Yeah.
So here's what I discovered. It's not about selling. I mean, that's you got to get ink on paper at some point.
Right.
But there's a lot of activity you have to do in order to create opportunities to get ink on paper. And yeah, I studied Sandler sales methodology, and there's a philosophy in there called bonding and rapport, relationship development. I also studied what's the dude's name? He's dead. He follows me on Twitter. Dale Carnegie. Okay, so I studied Dale Carnegie for a long time, and Dale Carnegie wrote the book How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep.
And there's philosophies in Dale Carnegie that say make the conversation all about the other person, and uses words along the lines of give and help others.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I studied a bunch of other dead people like Norman Vincent Peale, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And all of these guys taught me that at the end of the day, to be successful, you've got to develop trust, respect, and like.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, there's lots of those parts that go to that as well. And, you know, you got to be niche, you got to be focused on a particular area. You know, I understand social media is a broad space, but I focus on LinkedIn. And I just decided that the way I'm going to build my business is by making connections, getting into conversations, developing trust, respect, and like.
Yeah.
And it's a journey. It's not a race. So there's, you know, salespeople, there's sales leaders out there to go, hit your quota now, hit your quota now, hit your quota now early in. That ain't going to work for me.
Yeah.
Because it takes time for me to build trust, respect, and like to be able to get there. And so, yeah, so it's all that. I love the Sandler methodology of, you know, find the pain and then find a way to help them with their pain.
Yeah.
You know, I love Dale Carnegie's philosophy of you know, how to win friends and influence people. Meet someone new every single day of your life. And Gabe, thank you for letting me meet someone new. I can see the chatter in the background on the Facebook page that people are discovering Teddy.
Yep.
They don't trust or respect and like me yet, but they just discovered me.
Yep.
So all of that comes together. And if you keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again, then, you know, today while I'm making new friends, the people I met a year or 6 months ago are now realizing that there's a conversation that Teddy can help them with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's why we connected so well. And we had, when I reached out to you on LinkedIn, you did the wise right thing, which a lot of people don't do. And you're like, hey, yeah, I'm totally open to connecting. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's just really key. I think that's what's missing, is that people don't understand that it is a long-term game. The other thing that I think is really noteworthy about your story is that you mentioned this, that when you sent over your notes, you know, for ahead of time the show, you said, you know, at 50, I got into social media. And like, I think that's noteworthy because it doesn't matter what age you are. There's always going to be something ahead of you that you have no idea about, or you never did before, or doesn't seem like a natural fit per se, but you've taken something, and, you know, that stereotypically people don't jump on social media, you know, later in their career and make something huge out of it. They usually stick in one track, where you realize, hey, here's an opportunity. It's something I need to learn. It's a great connection point. And now you've made that a huge part of your business and who you are. And it's through that consistency, that long-term focus of let's build relationships, whatever the platform is. And that's, I think, just really important to point out. So what's the mindset behind that? Or how did you go, oh, you know, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to jump into it and learn it? And what's been the result of that?
Yeah. So the mindset behind it, you may not remember this, Gabe, because it's way before you and way before me, but you know what dinosaurs are?
What?
Dinosaurs? I don't want to be a dinosaur, dude.
That's a fair. Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be. I'm 61 years old. I am the 61-year-old social media strategist.
Yep.
And I get hired every day for millions and millions of dollars. Wait for it, in my mind.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, why? Because I don't want to be a dinosaur. I want to have conversations with people who are not unlike me in lots of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Not unlike me in lots of ways. And go, look, it's a new tool. And by the way, it's no longer a new tool. It's a new tool for them.
Right.
And so don't be afraid of it. I mean, if you do it right, if you have focus, if you have purpose, and if you know why you're doing it and who you're trying to help and how you can help them, it's a new tool that creates huge value.
Yeah.
And so I just decided that I didn't want to be a dinosaur. You know, I've used, by the way, where's my iPhone? I'm an iPhone guy, but I also spent 2 years on Android. Why? So I can say I have. So I can say I understand. And I get it. I know why Android lovers love Androids, but I also know why I love an iPhone. you know? And so I just decided the only way to be able to tell people to trust and believe in me, trust, respect, and believe in me, maybe is to show them that I'm not afraid of it. And so I gave them, and I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. Okay. I'm on Quora, YouTube, 420 videos on YouTube now. And by the way, most of them are publicly acceptable.
Yep.
And I'm on TikTok, Snapchat, and I'm not saying I'm knocking out of the park on some of them, but I'm on them so I can understand them.
Yeah. And I really like what you said a moment ago. You said, it's about figuring out who you want to help and how you're going to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if, I wish I would see that attitude in the entrepreneurial circles more, because the people that are flash in the pan are, how can I make $1 million today off somebody? And the people that actually make the $1 million are, who can I help and how can I help them? And it's not about that. They don't focus on the end result. They focus on the beginning, which is the relationship and how you're going to move those people forward. And that's a really easy, clear way of viewing it that will lead to success.
And the reality is that there are lots of people out there who might get into it with the purest intent of, I need to make $1 million right now.
Right.
And I don't deny them the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, there are some people who go, you know what? Change the number wherever you want to move the number from. There's some people go, you know what? I don't need to make $1 million today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a long-term journey that gets me the kind of revenue I want. Maybe start with the kind of revenue I need and then the kind of revenue I want long-term. And so if that takes 10 years to get to the point where I'm making $1 million a year, for me, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And if I don't break past, for me, in my mind, move the number wherever it's relevant to you in your mind. If I don't break past $2 million, that's okay.
Right.
Maybe I'm absolutely loving life at $1 million a year, drinking my coffee, smoking my cigars, hanging out with people and helping them along the way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. It's definitely about the journey and the experience and what kind of lifestyle you can have, way more than it is about a certain dollar amount.
Yeah.
And you're definitely, I've watched what you do on LinkedIn, because that's the place we connected, and you're definitely super consistent in your approach and your messaging. And so if you could share a couple things with us. One, like, is there a secret to your consistency and, how you do that? Or is that something you learned in the past or in your career, or how do you handle that? And then go ahead, after sharing that, just talk about how you help, how you coach people, what you offer, how people can work with you if they want to learn about, how they can actually leverage LinkedIn the same way you do.
Yeah. So how are you consistently sharing the right message is the first part of the question.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I don't know the answer to what my audience wants unless I'm listening to my audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's called social listening. And so I listen to the conversations. Example, why am I on Quora? I want to hear the questions that people ask. That's why I'm on Quora. And over the last 4 years, I've generated over 5 million views of my answers on Quora. And it gets me some insight into what people are questioning. And in the past, I would have thought, hey, they're going to follow this guideline and do these things Teddy says, but I listen to what people ask.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to the challenges and I read and pay attention. And that's how I discover what content to give them.
Yeah.
And basically answering people's questions. That creates an opportunity for me to write an article, do a post, do a PSA, hashtag PSA, which is pay serious attention. And that's what gets me the opportunity to create my videos. But basically just answering questions.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, how do I sustain this? No, no. You got to come up with a frequency that you believe you can sustain.
Yeah.
You got to come up with a process. I believe I can crank out one YouTube video a week. I feel comfortable cranking out one YouTube video a week. Very comfortable. I feel comfortable that I can do one post on LinkedIn a day.
Mhm.
Not an article, nothing huge, just one post. Okay. One quote on a regular basis. I feel comfortable that I can produce a video and a post a week.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel comfortable and I can't commit to sustaining that, then I've got to back down because I'll fail. Because the moment you get used to one YouTube video a week, you get used to a simple post from Teddy on a regular basis, and I stop doing it, I go dormant, you go, this Teddy guy disappeared.
Yeah.
And I just blew my brand. I just destroyed it because when Teddy disappears, some other dude shows up.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a good point about choosing what you can sustain. And I think that people just pick up somebody else's model, which may or may not work for them, and it may be too little, too much, or whatever. And yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
yeah. And I also there are people tell me on a regular basis, Teddy, you should start a podcast. I can't start a podcast because I do not believe I can sustain it. So you know what I do instead of starting a podcast?
You do your YouTube.
No, and I pay attention to podcasters and I show up.
Yeah, there you go.
I get invited in. This is my 4th interview in a week.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. My best one, Gabe, is my best one, but it's the 4th one.
That's good. You're getting better.
Yeah. So there was another part of the question you had, Bob.
Yeah. So that was,
you were saying.
yeah, that was a great, that was very helpful about kind of how to be consistent. So the second part is, let's dive into like what you specifically coach on, or who's a good client for you, or like who you want to work with. Cause I think, like I said, you have a really strong approach. It's going to work now and it's going to work in 10 years. I'm confident of that. And so I'd love to hear about how you coach and help other people.
So when I'm coaching, I follow the same philosophies that I follow in all of my content. In my mastermind groups, I got a huge mastermind group going on right now. It's about halfway through. It's a 6-week program. The philosophies I coach are also very similar to no, not very similar. They are the same philosophies I do in my corporate training programs. No matter how I'm helping people, I never waver from these 3. Let's go with the 3 primary philosophies to help people create value using LinkedIn. Number 1, you've got to create a very focused presence on LinkedIn, your profile, and it has to be focused to one person and one person only, your most important viewer.
Yeah.
It's not focused on everybody because that's failure. So the first philosophy when I'm coaching people or training them is how to build a presence. It very clearly says, I'm Teddy. This is who I help and how I help them.
Yeah.
The second philosophy in my coaching and training is you got to build a network of highly relevant connections, relevant to who you are and what you do, and focus on connecting with your most important viewer and focus on connecting with the influencers of that audience.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, the philosophical side of me also says connect with other people you can help as well with no expectations of anything in return. Okay. So focus on your most important viewer, their influencers, but also connect with people you can help just for the sake of helping people.
Yeah.
And then the third philosophy I teach people, no matter if it's in coaching or training or whatever, is to get into a conversation. At the end of the day, the magic of social media is conversations.
Yeah.
You can't have a glorious profile and a big network and expect that to work for you. You can't have a big network, a beautiful profile, and be barfing your content on LinkedIn all day long. That won't work for you.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get into conversations, jump into other people's conversations where relevant and where appropriate.
Yeah. That's
the philosophies, Gabe. Now, anybody who wants to have a conversation with me about how I can help them, look me up on LinkedIn. I'm not hard to find. It's Teddy Burriss, spelled just like you see on the screen here.
Yep.
Everywhere I am, by the way, is for the most part, everywhere I am, my handle is TL Burriss, RRS.
Cool.
I had to knock somebody off of Skype to get that, but I got it. So yeah, I'm always open to people following me. I'm always open to people sending me messages on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube. And if I can help anybody, Gabe, I'm absolutely open to helping anybody. If I can help them by doing business together, I'm open to that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that's just, I love the principled approach. That's what attracted me in our early conversation interaction, is that what you're sharing will work forever. It doesn't matter what new platform comes out. It doesn't matter what they do to LinkedIn or Facebook next. All of those platforms are built on connecting people, and connecting people is having conversations and building a relationship. And that's definitely the secret sauce, which isn't that secret, but it may not be that sexy or exciting to people. But if you do that, then you'll be fine, because I always view social media and technology as like the new town square, or the new barbershop, or the new, speakeasy that's nearby. It's like, we can connect with a few people physically in our surrounding area, in our neighborhood or whatever. But with social media, we can connect with a bunch of people if we show up the right way. And if the focus is on who can I connect with, and what relationship can we build?
Yeah, and you show up the right way is to present yourself in a manner that people look at you and go, I need to talk with this person.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen for everybody. I'm also, Gabe, I don't know if you and I talked about it, but I'm also a career coach.
Oh.
And the career coaching I do is predominantly voluntary.
Cool.
So I teach people who are in career search how to find that next great job. But here's the way I teach them how to do it. Stop looking for a job. Stop applying for jobs. Stop asking for jobs. Every day, get into conversations with 5 or 10 new people. Your job when you're looking for a job is to get into conversations with people. Who should you get into conversations with? People who are relevant to what you want to do.
Yeah.
Who should you get into conversation with? People who play in the sandbox that you want to play in, who may play with the toys you play with.
Yep. Yeah, that's good advice for sure. Yeah. And honestly, since I've only had a couple of jobs in my life and been an entrepreneur most of the time, like, I never thought about it that way, but you're right. That's how we find our best people, is they're connected to somebody that, already works with us or knows that we need that. And that's just such a faster way to bring in the right talent.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to highlight, because I think that it's worth noting, is that I like how you talk about, just to go back to, like, who do I want to help and how do I want to help them? I think that if you have any self-awareness and self-knowledge of who you are and what you like and what you do, then that's a really nice filter to use, equally or even more so than the filters that we probably hear about, or the things we hear about, like, go find your ideal customer, find your client avatar, like, break down all their qualities and who they are and where they hang out. It's a nice balancing factor to be like, well, I know what I love and who I would like to help. And sometimes that's an easier filter to see things through than just objectively looking at some group of people and figuring out if they're the right fit for us. I think it's both. I don't think it's one or the other, but I think that I've heard a lot of emphasis over the years of who's your ideal client avatar, or who's your perfect client, or who's all that. And if you're just looking at it like that, you can lose part of the magic, which is, who are you and how do you show up and who do you like helping naturally? And for me in this conversation, it's been a while, that's an easier way to figure out who I should work with.
It's interesting, Gabe. You just poked me and made me think about, I just picked up a new client and they're landscapers. Now, if I was looking at my ideal client or my customer avatar, typically my customer avatar is sales leaders and sales trainers. But I just blew that out of the water.
Yeah.
But I got a landscape company. And by the way, typically it's business to business, not business to consumer.
Right.
And so, I got a brand new client who doesn't fit the mold at all of my avatar.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely right. So building a presence that says, this is what I can do, and this is how I can help you. And for lack of a better word, marketing that presence by constantly walking that walk and talking that talk can open up doors that you don't think are the right doors, but they open up.
Yeah.
Travel agencies. I don't typically think the travel industry is my ideal client. That's not true today, because they're calling me, and the reason why they're calling me and the reason why a landscape company called me is because their ideal client is hanging out on LinkedIn.
Yep. Yeah.
Present who you are and what you do over and over and over and over and over. And do I need to say it again, over and over again? And let those who think they need you reach out to you, and you to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, that's definitely wise. And I think the values and personality matching is just as valuable, and even more so than, like you said, don't just filter yourself into one industry necessarily. You may find trends, like you said, you typically are working with these groups, but if there's a more valuable filter or thought process of like, who am I comfortable with, who is the good fit relationally with me, then I think it opens up a lot more. So
So the cool thing about it, Gabe, is it's meeting someone new every day and getting into these conversations and ideations and collaborations is a huge part of how we develop into whatever we are to become.
Yeah. And it's a constant evolution as entrepreneurs. It's never. I was just talking to somebody before our time, and I was like, a friend of mine reminded me of this over the weekend. He's like, entrepreneurship is about being able to adapt, being able to evolve, being able to shift and change and grow constantly. Because I'm sure if you looked back at your plan from 2005, what you're doing today may or may not resemble exactly what you thought you were going to do. So
So I had no idea that international webinars would take off.
Yeah.
I had no idea that I'd become a public speaker and travel the country as a public speaker doing this, or that I would be producing webinars as a subject matter expert for companies that it's their product. I'm just the subject matter expert. I'm not the leading face of it. I am the leading face of it. But anyway, it's I had no idea that I would be doing this kind of work globally, and not having to be getting in an airplane every week.
Yeah. It's amazing what we have access to now. It's crazy how the connectivity we have, and yet, which is why I really love having this conversation and sharing this with my audience here. Is like, we have all this connectivity, we have all these tools, we have all the technology in the world, and we're still missing the point, which is having those conversations. And so that's what we need to remember.
Yeah. So, and that's probably one of my biggest tips that I give people all the time is get away from the screen. We can make a connection through the screen. We can make a connection through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what? Never hesitate to start with, whip this thing out and get into a conversation, or whip out the calendar and say, dude, when can we get together and have a soda 30 or whatever, face to face. I call it kneecap to kneecap conversation.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely where you can move things forward, and it keeps you connected and you learn more, and you're not stuck in your own very filtered, very customized world that technology can show us, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on, Teddy. We'll share your LinkedIn, profile so people can connect with you there and get to know you. And I highly encourage everybody to have a conversation with Teddy. He has a lot to offer, not only in just what his free content he posts, but also in the services and what he can coach you on. And highly recommend that you have a conversation with him, because he will gladly do that. But thanks for being on, Teddy, and we'll definitely have you back on again soon.
You've been listening to Today's Business Leaders with Gabe Arnold. Remember to subscribe on iTunes. For more information, visit todaysbusinessleaders.com.